This Michael Jackson situation is crazy. This could really destroy and ruin his entire legacy, and it has everybody on the internet divided. Netflix recently dropped a documentary called The Verdict. Coincidentally, around the same time Michael Jackson biopic is breaking records at the box office, Netflix is trying to get in the mix. So Netflix dropped this documentary. In this documentary, they're claiming they are providing proof that Michael Jackson was actually guilty of all the things he was accused of. In this documentary, they interviewed a bunch of people close to the situation, and they provided what they believe is proof that Michael Jackson did indeed violate those children. One of the accusers claimed that Michael Jackson gave him alcohol when he was staying overnights at Netherland, and that Michael Jackson showed him corn and that Michael Jackson touched him. They would also claim in this documentary they found numerous grooming material at Michael Jackson's residence, some material that some of the accusers also claimed that Michael Jackson showed them.
That was to simply do a presentation of some of the materials, sexually graphic material that we had seized from Michael Jackson's home.
2 books introduced by the prosecution. One of them is Boys Will Be Boys, and one I'm going to cover up the cover photo called simply The Boy, a photographic essay. In these books, you will see naked boys sprawled on rocks, naked boys eating bananas, naked boys touching each other. And suddenly, you saw Wade Robson, who sat stock still in the witness chair, slump down. His whole demeanor changed, and you could see these books affected him. And I had to wonder, had Michael Jackson shown him these books?
Did part of Diane Dimond say, well, come on, we've told the story so many times, who's going to want to watch it yet again? And yet, I told you, it's the #1 show at Netflix right now.
Yeah, but you see, Michael, nobody saw what went on in that courtroom. The public did not see what went. There were no cameras allowed. And so as much as I would like to put this in my rearview mirror, I've always thought putting the trial on trial was the one piece of this Michael Jackson puzzle that the public never really knew what happened. They didn't know that Jordy Chandler's mother came and testified and told the court that how she had been bamboozled by Michael Jackson to allow her son to sleep with him.
One of Michael Jackson's homies, who apparently had access to his home or had access to snoop through his stuff. Now, it's unclear how he got this access. They discussed it in the documentary, but I'm not trying to go back. But this friend had access to Michael Jackson stuff. He was able to go through his stuff. Now, the friend apparently found some things that he believed incriminates Michael Jackson and proves that Michael Jackson actually did everything they're accusing him of. And that friend has been on a tear against Michael Jackson. He did the documentary. He went on Piers Morgan. He dropped a book against Michael Jackson called Unredacted. So, and this was one of the people they used in this documentary to quote unquote prove that Michael Jackson is actually guilty and not innocent.
There was one instance during the trial where he had a conversation with Harvey Levin of Celebrity Justice, now TMZ. And he explained to Harvey how he slept in bed with Michael on hundreds of occasions and had graphic conversations about women. After that, I had questioned Frank and I said, is this true? And he said, yes, this is true. And Harvey went on the media and exposed that. And he reported it. It just kept piling on top of each other. And it was an indication that there was something occurring with children. In 2007, and I have been very outspoken about this. In 2004, I actually met with Tom Sneddon and the Santa Barbara prosecutors to provide information to them of what I saw. If you see an instance of child, you are to come forward. And I also came forward in 2007. I walked into an FBI building in New Jersey, Newark FBI.
Wait a second. Why didn't they use you as a witness if you were so believable in 2004 on the eve of the trial? Why didn't they use you? Why didn't anyone else believe you?
That exact reason is why I think this entire thing is just extremely unfair. Him and other people are coming forward claiming they got this extraordinary evidence that proves beyond a reasonable doubt that Michael Jackson is guilty. But Michael Jackson underwent probably one of the most extensive investigations ever, and no wrongdoing was found. Like, there was no wrongdoing found. So the prosecutors and the investigators went through this lengthy investigation, found nothing. But these people who weren't even found credible enough by the prosecutors to bring in and use as witnesses, they're now claiming they got all the answers, they got all the proof, they got all the evidence, and they're profiting from it, like more than 15 years after Michael Jackson has been dead? I don't know. I think is scummy. I think is wrong. I don't think that's cool at all. And when he was approached about this and confronted about this, his answers made no sense. His answer for why the prosecutors didn't use him as a witness made no sense whatsoever.
Then why should we believe you now?
I don't think it was a question of believing or not believing. I think it was a question of, I didn't fit the case. I didn't fit their narrative. And you see, I was accused of many things, holding them hostage, and when that was just totally, absolutely false. So when I went in there, I didn't fit their narrative, because in a trial in the United States,
you didn't fit their narrative, or they did not believe you. They did not believe you. You were an incredible witness.
I didn't fit their narrative. I'm the one that's being accused, and I went forward. Listen, it's not about believable and non-believable. 20 years later, I've been still trying to clear my name. Why would, in a trial system of you being accused of something, coming forward, providing truthful information and documents and pictures, why would they not use you as a witness? Let me speak. Let me speak. Why would you silence me?
That's our question.
Why would you silence me? That's what we have to ask Ron Zoning, Gordon Auchincloss, and Tom Sneddon.
Because they did not believe you.
It's easy to say now you got the answers, but when it was time for the investigation, they found what you had, like, inadmissible. Like, whatever you thought you had that was like the smoking gun, the prosecutors in this case who wanted to see Michael Jackson get found guilty treated you like a new, like, bro, there's nothing here. You have nothing. There's nothing we can use in court. So now he's dead. Yo, this is just some nasty work, man. It's nasty, bro. For Netflix to drop this documentary around the same time the world is celebrating Michael Jackson and celebrating his legacy, to me, it's some nasty stuff. Now, it's one thing if this was like R. Kelly, and R. Kelly was found guilty by a jury of his peers, then yeah, you could probably bring this up whenever R. Kelly is celebrated. But Michael Jackson is a different story. Why I lean towards Michael Jackson being innocent is because I understand the situation and the context here. Michael Jackson owned half of Sony ATV. He damn near owned half of the industry's publishing. The biggest artists in the world, the Beatles and others. Eminem, he owns Eminem Publishing. Michael Jackson had something that was probably one of the most valuable assets in the history of music. The industry brokers wanted to do anything in their power to get that back. If they had any evidence that Michael Jackson did something, they would have thrown him in jail and taken that back from him. But they didn't have that. With as many powerful people in the world who was committed to Michael Jackson's downfall, they couldn't get him to fall? Come on, bro. Yo, if they had any shred of evidence, if there was any truth to this, I could almost guarantee you Michael Jackson going to London and cussing out Tommy and saying F him and calling him evil, and Michael Jackson going off on a specific community of people, man, they would have rallied together and got him out the paint. Some say that they get him out the paint through death because they couldn't get him out the paint through criminal charges. It took them kidnapping Michael Jackson's sister, bringing her to Tel Aviv. Before her Tel Aviv trip, Toya was saying Michael Jackson is innocent, he didn't do this. After 2 days in Tel Aviv, they scheduled an impromptu press conference where she looked at the camera and said, my brother is guilty, he did all of this. You don't see the play here? Now, the prosecutor spoke to TMZ to address Michael Jackson's innocence and guilt.
I'm just wondering, he's joining us right now to talk about the documentary. And Ron, thank you so much for being with us.
My pleasure.
I'm curious, I know that when Michael Jackson was acquitted, it was, I'm sure, a shocking defeat for yourself and the other prosecutors. So I'm wondering why you decided to sit down with the producers to relive this. Do you think that people were going to see it through a different lens?
No, I think that this case was very interesting at the time that it was tried, and it's certainly interesting today. He was one of the world's most recognizable people, very, very talented musician and entertainer. And the charges were serious. And the fact that it's 20 years later and there's still public interest in this case and understanding about it is certainly reason to have a documentary like this.
You know, since the trial, there have been other accusers who've come forward, and certainly the Leaving Neverland documentary shined a new light on those accusers. Do you think that there are more people who would be, if that trial happened today and Michael Jackson were still alive, would the jury perhaps be more willing to think that this was possible? Because, you know, I remember at the time, a lot of this was that Michael Jackson, as you said, was the biggest star in the world. And so my feeling was that the jury was willing to give him the benefit of the doubt. And certainly when there were people like Macaulay Culkin who testified and said, none of this could have ever happened, I'm with Michael all the time and it didn't happen, that the celebrity there may have swayed the jury. But today, maybe that would be different.
Well, there's no question that at the time, the celebrity status of some of these people did affect the jury. And if we had had the benefit of the honest and candid testimony of a number of the other victims in this case, it could have affected the outcome, certainly.
That's the perspective of a sore loser. You put that man on trial. You had a hand in picking the jury responsible for deciding his fate. He sat across a jury of his peers, got an acquittal, and then 20 years later, you're saying, even though he had his day in court, even though he was acquitted of all the charges y'all put on him, from the jury that you helped select, he's still guilty? And what, like, oh, it was his celebrity that got him off. So at that point, it's like, why even put him on trial then, right? If he's found guilty, he's guilty. If he's found not guilty, he's guilty because he's a celebrity. Then at that point, it's like, what, like he's guilty nonetheless? There's nothing he could have done to prove his innocence at all? You put him on trial, he gets found guilty, he's guilty. He gets found not guilty, well, he only got found not guilty because of his celebrity. This is some nasty stuff y'all doing, bro. And choosing to do this at this moment in time is one of the nastiest things I've ever seen.
But we don't. And I think that if I had any objection with the documentary, it was that they really didn't address the fact that two of the victims in this case who were adamant that nothing had ever happened 20 years ago have now come forward and said, in fact, they were victims of long-term and intensive molestation by Michael Jackson. As to Wade Robson, he said it was over a period of about 7 years. And frankly, that there was nothing that two people could do to each other sexually that Michael Jackson didn't do with him during that period of time, starting at age 7. Now, if we had had that testimony, the benefit of that testimony in the trial, as opposed to the opposite, which is what we did have, of him testifying that nothing happened, that Michael Jackson was a perfect gentleman and simply helped him with his career, and there was nothing he ever did wrong. Yes, could there have been a different result in the trial? Of course, there could have been a different result. I think that probably it certainly would have benefited us at the time of the trial. And I think it could have been addressed in the documentary as well. There was only the reference to Wade Robson and James Safechuck denying that anything had ever happened to him.
So he said under oath and under threat of prosecution that Michael Jackson did nothing to him. He's not under oath anymore, nor under threat of prosecution. Now, all of a sudden, Michael Jackson is guilty. All right, gang. Y'all let me know in the comment section, man, what y'all feel about this, okay? Do y'all feel like Michael Jackson is guilty, or do y'all feel like this is a whole bunch of bull? Let me know in the comment section. If you're still watching this video and you want to watch another good video, click on this video right here somewhere on my screen, somewhere here, or here, or here, or here to find out how exactly Sean Diddy, P. Diddy, might be getting another RICO. Another RICO may be getting announced very soon. I break it all down in this video right here. I'm out of here, folks. Peace. Click on this video right here to find out what I'm talking about. Peace.